nice to meet you. I'm so excited to talk to you. Sorry, I just gushed about the game to Jeffrey, and I wanted I'll just start with thank you for making an incredibly awesome game.
Well, thank you very
um,
much. I hope you had a pleasant time with Jeffrey.
yeah, I did. Sorry. I'm just really in love with Immortals Fenyx Rising, so I'm sorry if I'm a little fangirly right now.
That's okay. That's okay.
I've put about 26 hours in it so far. And one of the things that I do want to start off with was the inspiration for the visual style, because there is something so accessible about it. When I think about Greek mythology, a lot of the stuff that we get, I was 7 watching Xena Warrior Princess. I probably should not have been watching it that young. But a lot of the stuff we get with Greek myth is either really adult or really really for kids, but there's something that is all ages and vibrant and accessible about the art style of Immortals. It's just welcoming. What went into kind of crafting that, and did you have that accessibility in mind?
Yeah, to be honest, yes, because when we were giving this mandate, we were about to we were about to finish Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and we've learned so much about the Greek mythology, Greek history in general. So and we said, oh, it would be great to do something about the Greek mythology because we were giving like a mandate do a game. And but one thing for sure is that we wanted to do something very different that doesn't look like an easy game. And we said, why not do something more stylized, more accessible that could appeal the youth and the older people, and that could be also a bit less mature. So. So, so basically, we wanted to go out of our comfort zone because in fact, it was kind of a leap of faith to take like a catchphrase from Assassin's Creed. But we said, okay, why not try it? Because we want to learn as artists. We said, okay, we want to do something different because it's not often that you get some sort of these type of occasion when you're working
Yeah.
in the game industry. So then we started to look at what stylization, because it could be pretty much anything.
Yeah.
The small group that we were when we started this, there were a lot of fans, including myself, of Hayao Miyazaki from the
Yeah.
Ghibli's movies. I asked the team at some point with one of our material leads to see would it be possible to do a game that has that sort of aesthetic, and when it comes to the stylization of the materials, the depth, the way they manage the depth. Since we were using, I don't know if you're familiar with Substance Designers and Substance Painter, which are a software that we use in the gaming industry, which allows you to basically tweaks like within shaders and nods your material. So we did some tests, and we did realize, yes, that could be possible. So what we've did, we went in Paris and we've proposed that idea to the board there. It was we were really unsure because if you look at the games within the Ubisoft portfolio, it's
Yeah.
mostly on the realistic side. We really didn't know what to expect from that meeting with them. And then we had like a full green light. There was an unanimous go from all of them, so which was like very exciting for us. And then then it was up to us to, okay, now we need to make a game that has that aesthetic, and that's also using like a PBR engine, which is a physically based rendering. So it's the same engine that we've used to build Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So we did face a lot of challenges and opportunities. We did a lot of trials and error to make sure we nailed the styles. And then at some point, the Ghibli's movies are 2D movies, so
Yeah.
it's not the same relationship with that, because in the games you control your character, you can pretty much look wherever you want, you can travel as you wish, and you climb and you can go pretty much everywhere. So of course, throughout times we've define our own vision based on our own artistic sensibilities and the knowledge we've gathered like as game developer. So I guess the game got its own aesthetic in the end. But to answer your question, because that was quite a long answer, yeah, it was the goal to do something that was refreshing, very bright, colorful, to create some sort of a feel-good game.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you enjoy it.
And one of the things that I really, really enjoy is I'm a huge puzzle person.
Mhm.
So watching how the puzzles have been not only are they beautiful, and I'm thinking kind of like the the painting puzzles on the ground. I forget
Yes,
what I forget
the
forget that.
frescoes.
Yeah, the frescoes.
Yeah.
Yes. But they're also such a really good point of how the animation style is gorgeous, but it's also you all have also worked in a sort of visual language to help players when they kind of struggle a little bit on a puzzle, right? Like if I stand by that fresco long enough, I'll get to see a little bit of arrows that will help me and
Yes,
guide
yes.
me.
Yeah.
What went into making these, I don't want to call them guardrails, but like these guides, I guess, throughout the game, because they're very seamlessly done. I've played other puzzle games that it's just okay, now here's a giant line that now disrupts the rest of the art, versus something that's seamlessly woven into it. And it's the same thing in the Vaults of Tartarus's.
Yes.
So what went into that?
That's, I guess, more a design question because at some point, how do you gauge difficulties with puzzles? It's easy with the enemies; you lower like the hit points, and then you can manage some sort of like a gradation of difficulties. But with puzzles, the team had to face like, okay, sometimes the puzzles are very hard, the timings need to be perfect, and they sometimes they really challenge your wits. So how to understand them, but you feel smart when you complete them. So I guess they because that was not really on the art side, but they managed to find ways to like the arrows to highlight like what you should do or not. But on the art aspect, the challenge, since we had so many puzzles, there's the vaults, there's like multiple different types of puzzles within the world also. So I don't know if you noticed, but all the puzzle areas are built around some sort of a golden type of architecture. So that's a visual language that we've put in place to make sure that they were always visible.
Mhm.
So they all share the same materials. So they were treated as a challenge made by the Olympians to challenge like future heroes in the Vault of Tartarus, which is the lair of Typhoon. So all the gears and mechanics and puzzles are dressed up with like a monster figure. So there's like creature's head and stuff like that. So we have tried to assign some sort of visual signs and feedback so the player could easily at least identify what are parts of a puzzle or not. So I guess it's a mixture of lots of sign and feedback that makes them like understandable, and at some point when you need help, that the help is provided in a way that doesn't disrupt your experience, I would say.
One of the other things that I've really appreciated is y'all's take on the creatures, the mythological creatures. Like I think
Mhm.
Cerberus is probably my favorite one that you all have adapted because they have the core characteristics that you think of when you think
Mhm.
of of these animals or these creatures, but yet they look very unique. What was the process in designing the creatures of the world?
Um, but first, they're all Greek mythology creatures. So for us, like we did for the world, because we've built the world in a very different way that we used to do on an Assassin's Creed game, where it's designed as a theme park. It's super stylized, so things are like oversized, and there's very distinguishable landmarks. So for the creatures, the same thought process was applied, where we didn't want like to have like super highly realistic or very highly detailed creatures because it wasn't part of the art direction of the game. So we've tried to get rid of the unnecessary stuff when it comes to their design and just play with strong silhouettes. So to make sure you could read them, understand their behavior with their silhouettes and their size. Also, we've added like a lot of emissive parts on them, so they are very bright at night or even at day. So to make sure that they are visible, let's say at night in the shadows or in any type of given environment. So that's basically it. So it's just we did a lot of silhouette research and tests to make sure that each creatures could be identifiable by the player from a distance. We've played a lot with the LODs, which is the level of detail, so from a distance, so you could see them even if they're far away from you. and then their size, and then the animation plays a big part of it. So the way they move, their idle cycles, the effects around them, because there's a different level of difficulties through them, so they get tougher as you're getting better. Also, they're tougher per region, so they change color also. So we use a mix of shapes, pretty much all the art notions, but we just thought carefully of it when we were designing those creatures.
Awesome. And I think one of the other, now the next question I have kind of goes to how you mentioned that it's kind of more like a theme park with different sections, and each section is tied to a different god.
Yes.
Now for someone like Ares or Aphrodite, that as somebody who has like watched Greek myth and like Greek myth-based media, that kind of stuff, I was like, okay, cool, yeah, these are totally them. And then I was thinking, but what would Athena's land look like? Because I don't know, like she's my favorite goddess,
yes.
but I don't know too much about her visually, like some of these other gods that you're so used to seeing portrayed visually.
Yes.
So what went into kind of constructing landscapes for maybe gods that people aren't too familiar with?
Well, through the puzzles and myths that are narrated by the gods, I guess you'll learn about a bit more about those gods. But let's say for Athena, we know from the Greek mythology that she used to work a lot with humans. She helped a lot of human heroes in their quest to defeat creatures. And also Athena, she's one of the goddess of war, but mostly on the wisdom side. So she's the technician. So that's why in our region we've decided to place the more Greek architecture, like that most people knows nowadays. So there's a lot of temples, and there's also a lot of human farms, because we wanted to highlight that proximity with humans that she had, like in Greek mythology. Another aspect is the symbols of Athena. It's the olives. So there's a lot of olive trees in the region. There's a lot of forests. So to highlight that maze feeling where you need to be more tactical. So it's not like wide open like in Ares, where it's like more treated as a big battleground. So, and also we use the blue color, because the Athena has the blue color assigned to her. So like it's all a different type of mixed elements that we use to highlight our region. Let's say for Hephaestus, which is the blacksmith of the god, which is the region close to the Athena's one. We've designed a giant forge, because an area where he was like doing his craft, and then around the forge there's like multiple let's say factories or area that he used to gather resources for his forge. So there's the aqueduct, the windmill, the deforested forest, and there's mines where we've tried to create some sort of visual storytellings in each regions to truly support like the main thematics or the god that used to live in that region. So we did apply those same recipe for all those regions. So the goal was to make them very different, because as a gamer, we want to offer to our players like sentiment of progression throughout. So each time you travel in the world, you see something different, you feel you discover something different. So that's how you get your player to be engaged, and so they could spend time in the world, and so the world is engaging for them. So those are the type of recipe we use when building Immortals Fenyx Rising.
On the question of landscapes as well, one of the most beautiful things that I love doing is when I get up to the Hall of the Gods, I kind of just run around so I can look at everything. Like every time I go to the Hall of the Gods, I run to the perimeter, and there's just something breathtaking of getting to see the entire landscape.
Yes.
But then once I jump off and I use my wings and I kind of glide, I just realize how large the world is.
Yes.
So what went into crafting something that kind of, it feels like I'm seeing all of it, but then once I'm in it, I realize how large it is. That couldn't have been easy.
No. Especially on the technical side, because being able to see so much, it has a huge impact on the memory and the loading, streaming of textures and all of that. And also, you're right, because that's a challenge we've faced when you're on the Hall of God or any reach high point. You feel that the world might not be that big because you're seeing all of it, and that was an issue with the depth perception. So of course we've tried to ramp maps or try to stylize or LODs, but also at some point it was not enough. So we've added like low clouds. We've played a lot with
Yeah.
the fogs just to layer the world, so
Yeah.
we could like hide and also enhance that feeling of depth that there's lots to see in distance. Because you're right, because when you're in the world, the scales change completely because there's a lot of things that are occluded, so you're not seeing everything at once. So the
Yeah.
feeling is very different. But that was an interesting challenge to deal with, like the fact that you could see pretty much everything. So, but it was a fun challenge, and I think we've managed to do something good in the end.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's phenomenal, and when each region having that scouting mission to go to the
Mm-hmm.
highest point and then scout it out, there's almost when you're in your that view, it almost looks like a painting when you're looking at the
Mm-hmm.
landscape. Was that a really conscious choice that y'all made, or was it just kind of how it had to be technically?
No. I'm glad that you're saying that because painterly was one of our keyword when we started this project. So painterly meaning that you're perceiving the medium utilized in the, like say, the material, so which is the brush stroke or something like that, like in
Hmm.
those painting of the Ghibli's movies.
Yeah,
So to create that aspect, it's how we've managed to deal with our LODs, which is like the far away object that you're seeing in the world.
yeah,
So we stylize those. So if you pay attention, you'll see it like there's often like two tones, like bright and dark, and so it looks almost like a painted like element.
yeah,
So, but that's we've been working a lot on our shaders and our ramp maps and all technical stuff to achieve that. So it's on purpose. It's so it's not like an accident. I can assure you. In fact, we work a lot because in games, open world games, most of the time you see the landscape, and so you see all the fakes, the imposters,
yeah.
the LODs. So that's what you see the most. So we need to pay attention to those elements.
Well, it is gorgeous from the characters to the landscapes. And I think one of my favorite things that I noted when I played the hands-on demo, the first thing I noticed was how Prometheus and Zeus and then Athena, or now as the gods come into the halls, they have the constellations mapped onto their skin.
Yeah.
And it's something that I don't like, it doesn't stand out right away until you
Mhm.
watch a little bit closer and you notice that.
Mhm.
Was that a hard effect, or because it's just, I don't know why I'm mentioning it. It's breathtaking to me because there's just
Oh
this
yeah.
idea that a god has the stars mapped like veins on
Yeah.
them. How did y'all decide to do that?
In fact, we wanted to make sure that the gods looks different than the player. So
Yeah,
that's why they're bigger. And if you paid attention also in the world, like the architectural structures are bigger than they're not at the humans scale
yeah,
because it's a world built for them, not for humans. So we want to make sure that you feel small in the world of the gods. So
yeah,
one of way to achieve this is also to make them a bit appear like a bit magical. So when since the gods in the Greek mythology, you can often see their within the stars, like their constellation, like the Milky Way, which has a
yeah.
long story around it. I won't mention it here because it might not be appropriated. But uh, so we thought of that idea. We've tried to link like skybox stars to the gods themselves because when you get to the apotheos in the Greek mythology, like when Hercules was becoming a god, so you reach the sky. So it's very Greek mythology oriented, like that type of thinking. And also, you see at night also we've paid a lot of attention, so there you could clearly see the Milky Way in the
Yeah,
sky. So yeah, that those are like it's all when you think of Greek mythology, it's so rich and there's so much things you could do with this universe, which is it's incredible. So we had so much like we gather so much information throughout the years that we just use this the best as we could to highlight or like bonify the visual of the game.
And then I'm so sorry to interrupt, but we are about at time.
Oh,
So we're going to have to start wrapping up.
yeah. I got one more question, and then yeah. So the final question was just, what was your favorite myth or piece of Greek mythology to incorporate? Because I mean, you all have done so much. Like every single piece of this game is imbued with Greek mythology. But do you have a favorite?
Yes and no, because as a game developer and art director, I think the whole game itself and all what we've did in it, I think I'm in love with. I'm very proud of what as a team we managed to achieve. But I have to say that the one of my favorite, maybe not mid, but region of the game was probably the Zeus one. I don't know if you got there, but like the ascension, the visuals, the ambience that's there. I think it's very special, and when you finally reach the summit of the mountain, it was so long and difficult. I think we've managed to create like a very sentiment of accomplishment, and I think that's great to feel that while playing a game. So that would be my answer.
Awesome. Thank you so much for talking with me. Seriously, it is a beautiful game. And I told Jeffrey before this, like this game has been like a nice light in my life right now that I've needed. So I'm in love with it. And thank you for all your work on it and making it so beautiful.
Thank you for the kind word. It's very appreciated.
Yeah. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.